Libby, you're muted. Oh. It's Libby. And then we just lost Marty.
Sorry about that. I'm really having technical troubles here this morning.
It's okay.
All right. Okay. So ready to go?
Yeah, you've lost Marty, but I'll keep an eye on him coming back. But go ahead.
Okay. So I call the meeting to order by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nations with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga-Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nations are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. So has everybody got connected back in? Okay, great.
Great.
So first order of business is to approve the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, or if not, could I have a motion to approve for today's meeting, February 3rd, Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting? And
I so move. I guess you can't see me, Libby.
I know you're there, though, Karen. Thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, so are there any declarations of any conflicts of interest with respect to today's meeting agenda? Anybody have any conflicts? Nope. So seeing none, we'll move on. So the approval of the minutes, you all received a copy of the minutes. Are there any changes or any issues with the minutes?
Sorry, Libby, you've skipped over the elections part. So in the previous committees I've done, the chair just kind of discusses and holds the election for each.
For each what? Sorry.
For the chair and the vice chair.
So we did that last time.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Hold on, I might be in the
It might term up already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I remember. Sorry, I'm doing it for so many, and with Tom leaving, I've had so many more. I guess, and I put that in the agenda. I'll skip over that.
Did you put that in the agenda? No, it's not in the agenda. No.
You got last month's agenda.
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay, that's my issue. I've clicked on. See, I told you, Ron. Nothing's going right for me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Or
Okay.
me. I can't get, anyway.
I'm not helping.
My technology is working, and I'm having a rough morning. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Move on.
moving on. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Ron, thank you. And Marty.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Jessica's gone. Delegations, we don't have any. I was wondering, Ben, are we planning to have any of the tourism people from Northumberland County or RTO8 at some point this, within the next few months?
If the committee chooses to, I can definitely arrange that for sure.
What does the committee feel?
I think that tourism is an important part of economic development, actually. So I'd be very interested to know what the county and what the region is doing as far as tourism, and if we can help in any way.
I believe it's good timing because I believe there's some more money flying around that's going to be directed somewhere to tourism in Northumberland. So it'd be nice to see if we can get some hints about that, or we can actually lobby for a little bit of that too, because I think we need some specific items to address, but perhaps we can stir up the pot a little bit.
Okay,
I think
who's the executive director of, or chair or whatever of Northumberland Tourism now? Ben, do you know?
Their director of tourism is Eileen Lum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who I'm in very frequent communication with. So I'm sure she'd be more than happy to give a bit of a 2022 season outlook or something like that, maybe in March or April. So.
Okay.
That would be
What
good.
about the Regional Tourism Organization, RTO 8? Who heads up that now? Do you know?
Last I checked, it was Brenda Wood. I'm not sure if she's still there or not. That was, probably in the fall or so. Last I talked to her, not as frequent conversation there, but certainly reach out, see what's going on there for sure.
Do you know who the chair of that volunteer board is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so we'll see if we can get something for the future there. Moving on to businesses, I think we'll do I mentioned this, that we'll do our 3 reports, and then we will have a mover and seconder for all 3 reports afterwards. So let's move right into Ben's update.
For sure. Okay, so not a ton for me in the last 3 weeks or so, but I'll give you what I've got here. So yesterday, some very amazing news for our community. Not sure if you've heard yet. It was a well-publicized announcement, but the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, as well as our MPP, were David Pecuniary, were at Premier Tech yesterday with a major announcement. Caroline and I were there, Councillor Rowley and the mayor were there. Our regional partner, Chris King, was there, as well as some of the very folks at the director level of Premier Tech at their head office were there, announcing a new $18 million investment into their facilities in Brighton and in St. Isidore. As well, there was a grant program provincially called the Regional Development Program that also included $2.8 million into that investment from the province's behalf for the Brighton and St. Isidore facilities. So that application was in the works for a long time. I remember meeting about it. I would say last April was when the planning started happening, and it was a very well written application by Premier Tech, and getting help from Chris King on that was really great, and they were successful. So some really amazing partnerships that made that happen between obviously Premier Tech being such a valued staple in our industrial park and in our community as one of our top employers, QEDC, and obviously the provincial government. So what's in this for Brighton? Some significant dollars in bringing production that has currently been done on a subcontracted basis in various parts in the States and in Ontario, and bringing some of those products into Brighton to be manufactured in Brighton. Across Ontario, between the 2 facilities, this is going to increase jobs, about 52 jobs. So we're not quite sure on the exact number in Brighton yet. Over the last couple of months, they've had to hire about eight new folks, 6 to 8 new folks, and in the next couple months, as more and more of the lines and equipment start coming to Brighton, they're going to need another 6 or 8. So right there, almost 15, 16 people. And just a huge thing for Brighton, and showing that Premier Tech has all sorts of high expectations to be in Brighton for a long time. I think that's it for that announcement. I'll just allow maybe Councillor Rowley, if you have anything on that. I know you were there and as well.
No, I think you covered it all pretty well, Ben. Yeah, it was a nice shot in the arm for us out here locally. So it was a nice morning. It was nice to tour the plant again. I'd been in there maybe about 10 years ago, and they've certainly upgraded a lot with automation and things. But yeah, it was nice to be part of something like that. That it's a good news story for Brighton for sure.
And just being in the plant yesterday, about my third time there in the last 2 years or so, and just, you know, they're well-paid jobs. It's a nice warm climate. The work is consistent, and it's, you know, it's work, but it's not, you know, backbreaking and sweaty or in the elements cold. Like, it's very, very good work. And you know, one of the significant challenges Jake DeGroot as the operations manager there is labor force. And even though they're only trying to hire 5, 6, 8 at a time, it's still very challenging. So between QEDC and us, we've told them, like, we'll get the word out, we'll do what we can, but no one really seems to have a major solution for these labor challenges that are you know, worldwide essentially. Moving on from that, some other great news we got in the last week was we were successful in receiving our OMAFRA grant for the capital portion of our pop-ups project. So this will be about $12,000 to go towards the capital cost of renovating the building. So we're really, really excited about that. We're continuing to work on our BR&E project. I've been talking to and getting proposals from local marketing and survey kind of specialists in the region that specialize in interviewing and surveying businesses. So we think we've come up with a bit of a plan there where we're going to ask them to get all our qualitative data, and from a staff level, we're going to put all the quantitative data in a survey to cut SurveyMonkey kind of online survey to kind of shorten the interview time, and in turn save us a little bit of time and money. So we've kind of gone with that route. So I'm just waiting on a couple more proposals. So far, they've been well within our budget. There's going to be a couple grand openings this month at Pizza Hut and at Pet Value. So Caroline and I or one of us will be there getting all sorts of photos, mayor and council to be invited, chamber, DBIA. So really exciting stuff to get a couple new services in our downtown and in our community. Oh, and I'll end off. I know we talked about FICE last meeting, and just maybe some quick wins that could come of FICE. And Caroline and I sort of wrapped our heads around some quick win kind of projects that could be in the works as early as, you know, the spring or the summer, that we kind of read through the in between the lines through the report from NAPNE, and I'll just kind of go over them quickly here. Maybe I'll share my screen just to make it that much easier for everyone. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so special Saturdays farmers markets. So maybe something in the downtown core in collaboration with Codrington Farmers Market. You know, opening the invitation to all of the vendors locally, but having specific days. Maybe we change the location to complement pop-ups, the pop-ups project, or we keep it as separate, not really sure, just a loose idea there. A youth specific job fair. You know, we just talked about the labor shortage, and you know, are there jobs out there that you just aren't really aware of that could maybe coincide with their studies, or that could maybe coincide with a business they're trying to supplement, to a startup or something like that. So another idea really pertaining to youth and another one we had was a local partnership with ENSS, or Loyalist College. So what can we do to gain more access to things like trades, things like the arts, what's going on at Loyalist, what's going on at ENSS? Could the municipality find ways to partner in a more structured fashion? We call them here and there, and we kind of know what each other are doing. I have really good colleagues at Loyalist College that I could reach out to through our QEDC board. What more could we be doing to create a Loyalist College or an ENSS related partnership? Create a robust directory of services on the website. Obviously, we've got a really good business directory, but could we come up with maybe more of a content calendar, or maybe more of a promotional calendar where we're promoting things a little bit more in season, i.e. here we are in February, March, tax season. So really making, there's obviously a lot of new people in our community. They don't know where maybe they're going to get their taxes done if they're accountants, back in the city or wherever they came from, and just doing little things like that. A tourism booth, maybe in the downtown core. I think there's more to come on that, so I'll let that happen where it may. Enhanced arts opportunities. So, talk to people like Megan Fox, talk to people like Melanie from Firing Time, who have tried these things out, about classes in the park and other downtown businesses. Is Art on the Main in a position in 2022 where they could make a comeback, hopefully with restrictions opening? Is there another community art project we can get involved in? I know the mural project on Casey's Lane went really, really well, and we got some amazing feedback from Greater Napanee on that project. Is there other areas where we could look at mural projects? And then, do we operate a running suggestion box from the community? Obviously, when it relates to tourism and overall economic development initiatives, obviously you're going to get some pretty harsh criticism, but out of every 10 of those, maybe you get a really cool idea that someone's really thought about that we can put in motion. Some longer term wins that we took out of this, that a lot of this stuff is happening, is diversification in housing and affordable housing, obviously. Apartment/condo developments. And I think a lot of that is starting to happen too, and in the planning stages. Doctor recruitment, we're very involved in Doctors by the Bay. We've been successful in acquiring doctors, every year that I've been here, and I still know we need more. And emergency facility upgrades. I know our fire station's starting to get a little bit tired. And I think that was picked up in the report, and I think there's something maybe there to that, but those are just some longer term ones we picked out of the report too. So I can send this little list along, and maybe the committee can digest it a little bit more. And if there's a project you'd really like to see get off the ground that I've listed here or that's not been listed, we can talk about it in the future. So that was just a little report we put together. And with that, I believe that's it for me. Oh, Caroline, I don't want to take all of Laura's thunder. She was going to talk about this, but I'll just mention it briefly and Laura can mention it a little bit more. Caroline and Laura are putting together a little series called Making It in March, where they're highlighting manufacturing and handmade manufacturing made products in the municipality of Brighton. So that's going to be a really cool campaign to come in March. that's it for me.
Ben, could I ask a couple questions about that report? It would be helpful, I think, if along with this list of ideas, if perhaps you could mention what groups are responsible for making some of these things go ahead. I'm assuming it's not all under your office. For us to kind of follow along to see what the progress is, it'd be nice to know who's actually doing the work that's involved with all these wins, I would think. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
And the other thing is there's two areas that I think are missing on here that need to be looked at. And one of them was the internet services for our area. I think they were mentioning that still needed a lot of work. I know there's a committee that is looking after that. I'd like to know what's going on with that. And the other one was the waterfront development plan. And I think we're going to talk about that later, but that was looked on as such an important part of our area. And I think we have to address that further.
Are there any other comments on Ben's report? Some good news, a lot of busy times coming up, Ben. And are there any other comments or questions for Ben? Yes, Emily, sorry.
Thank you. Pleased to see a little bit of focus on the youth, something that we kind of miss over the years. So pleased to see that, whether you end up with a job fair or whatever it works out to be, Ben and Caroline, I think it's I think we need to have a little bit more engagement there. So I'm pleased to see that. You spoke about openings. Do you have specific dates for those openings that you talked about, the Pizza Hut and the Pet Value?
I can give you the Pizza Hut in momentarily here.
Okay, that's okay.
Emily,
Pet
I've
Val-
emailed
Oh,
out to
sorry.
you as well.
Emily, Emily mentioned the youth aspect of it. I know Emily and I have talked about a site for a basketball court, perhaps possibly planned out it'll probably be a 2-year plan to put a decent basketball court in. And I'm not talking necessarily at King Edward Park. I'm talking about somewhere near the core, but it wouldn't have to be at King Edward Park. I know there's a task force looking at the entire site. The recreation department is being reviewed. Arenas, curling, all that's being reviewed right now. Where we're going to go in the future with all that. Ben didn't mention the $400,000 he helped, and Jim helped get funding to have our roof done on the arena as well. And so that's a real boost to the community as well. So definitely things have been happening in the last couple of years with getting more attention to Brighton in our area. And I'm really pleased to see the industrial park getting lots of attention. And this is probably just the first steps of not just from the government. I'm talking private money. They're putting a lot of money in themselves, these companies, and these companies are national companies as well. So I think, Ben, you really touching on something there. You've small steps are now making leaps and bounds, and I can see great things coming from that. So, but there are a lot of things that I just touch on. One thing, another thing I'd like to really see is a art and culture hub somewhere in Brighton as well, and that's where you could tie in the Arts on Main. All those groups could come together, and I know I think that was a plan that someone had one time to do that, have a hub in the community where people would bring their art and they could sell their art. They could have art shows, but different type of art. And I know the Quinny Arts Council is very big on supporting those type of things. And and I don't believe we're even a member of that yet. But if we had something like that happening, that you can bring the school, all the schools together. You can bring the schools together, you can bring, and draw the college in as well. So I think that you touched on a good one there. And you just need space and you need people, you need volunteers. Volunteerism is one of the biggest challenges right now. In not our community. I think anybody that steps up really does a good job, but a lot of communities are having a real challenge with having people volunteer to take part in these things. But we get some good leaders that want to take these on, and I think they can happen. I just also want to thank for working with Emily. This is a culture thing too. We've got some ice shacks now put in, along with the rinks that came in last year. It's a short season for outdoor skating in our parks, but it's serving a good purpose. The people are, the folks that are going there now are quite happy, and now they're sheltered with the ice shack. So, that was funded. That was from volunteers, and that was from sponsors. So, sponsorship is another thing that we could be looking at with a lot of these items that Ben's talked about. We could somehow finagle some corporate or some private investment in those partnerships that Ben was talking about. So just a little spiel for you.
Thanks, Ron.
That was good, Ben. Good report.
I don't have the waterfront strategy on the agenda anywhere else, so maybe we could talk about that now. Karen, as you mentioned it, is there anything that, and the mayor isn't here, and I know he's on the committee. I'm not sure if anybody else here is on that committee. You are, Ron.
Yeah.
So is there any kind of an update or anything on that you wanted to bring to the committee today?
I guess I could say I know it's coming forward. We're having someone look at all three, the trails, the waterfront, and the recreation, trying to bring it all together into one focus without going out and hiring all kinds more consultants. We sort of looked at it that we have all this, no one likes the expression, but all these consultant reports are on the shelf, and we're just going to bring it together and have someone modernize it and bring it up to today's where we're heading and how it ties into our strategic plan. And Ben maybe can touch on it I know he's you're not on the committee, are you, Ben?
No,
No,
no.
but you're very aware of what we're doing.
Absolutely. I think the report that we circulated a couple months ago was from 2009. So we're going on over a decade here, well over a decade here. I'd consider that outdated. And I'd also consider that there's been a lot of progress made in our waterfront in the last 12 years. If you look at two very robust restaurants, or a marina, the resurgence of Airbnbs down there. Spinnaker Suites is doing amazing things. They've got the paddleboard rental opportunities, and the paddleboard classes. They have their own instructor down there. He's got a food truck down there. There's been a lot of initiatives that have gone through the planning stages and into the public consultation stage that are directly related to waterfront development, especially in the Gosport area, that have been met with some fair bit of resistance. So as much as the municipality and as much as developers want to invest in Brighton, and as much as the municipality wants to develop the waterfront, there's a degree of public consultation that is part of the process. So we haven't been able to do some of the things that maybe private money has wanted to do down there because of the public consultation process, which is fine. That's out of my control. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
No, I just wanted to say, Ben, like, that's a really good point. I've been thinking about that for a while, about the Gosport thing. Sorry about my camera, everybody. My internet's shoddy, so I'm away from the shop. But yeah, the public consultation, I was wondering if that was something that this committee could talk about, because I do know that from like the public standpoint, they do feel like quite unheard, and the less we ask them questions and the less we listen to them, the more they're going to resist. And I think that, economic development should maybe marry both, the economic development, but then also making the public happy. Like, we can't just put whatever the heck we want there. We have to make sure that we're both satisfied. And I've been really interested in that, whether like spearheading my own consultation, like going down with a little team and like talking to people and getting their perspective, and then finding even like a happy medium ground. I just wanted to say that was a great point, and I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know Paul and his planning folks have turned up the public consultation barometer very high as kind of middle of 2021 there, and the amount of virtual stuff that went on, and even in-person stuff that went on when we could at the community hall and different other venues relating to the last few developments that were discussed in 2021 went over really well. And even though the comments aren't always easy to take or aren't always in favor with everyone else's opinion, that's what the process is there for. So I know it's very much in council's eyes is to be very transparent, and I know staff are in the same mode, and Paul's done a great job in creating that presence in the last, I'd say 6 months or so. He's really tried to turn it up. So that's just a couple things on the waterfront development piece. I'm going to be really interested to see what comes out of the consultants review and see where they feel we should take waterfront development in the future.
So Ben, is that consultants consolidation of those 3 reports happening now? Has that process been selected, or what's happening with that?
It's out for RFP. Am I correct, Ron?
Oh, okay.
That's correct. It's something we're going to move on that, and we want the consultant report in our hands and go from there. We aren't going to.
Okay.
Nothing's changing. Nothing's being done. No one's should get excited. We need to look at it from a perspective of from today to the future, and then what do the residents that live in those areas want? That's great. What does the rest of the community want? That's very important. And what can we do to make things better so everybody can enjoy the waterfront? And there's a lot of economic good value for anyone that has property along the waterfront, and they should be looking at it from an economic standpoint too. It's all good to keep things the way they are, but as time goes on, things get tired, and I think it's time for a fresh. The marina is one thing that's on my mind. Great facility, but it sure could with some partnership, and I don't know where that partnership will come from, but if you don't dig for it, you're not going to find it. So I think there's great opportunities there to that'd be a good starting point, and the starting point's already happened. Ben mentioned about spinnakers. There's a good starting point right there. Just a little bit of paint can make the whole place. He did a lot more than just a little bit. But I'm not making a joke of what he's done there is excellent. Roger Cheer and then so just things like that in the restaurant. The improvements there, and good food, good quality operation, and then bringing on paddleboard. And then you see ice boats out there, and we know who's using them, but and people are coming to the area to do ice boating with individuals that are promoting that. And then it's been a good year for that. And then there's also, we've got, back to ice fishing and everything else. And they've got ice skating rinks out there galore right up to this week, a thing that a lot of people didn't even know. I know they might feel a little bit like they're private rinks, but that bay is not private. So Yeah, I guess we respect the fact that somebody went out and shoveled it all off, but I don't think anybody's gonna be upset if somebody jumped on and had a skate. So, so there's lots of opportunity down there, and I think it's just working with the individuals and groups, and it'll take volunteers, and it'll take committees, and it'll take a lot of some money to make things happen. But we can bring it together. It's just working together is the key to the whole thing. And Megan, you made a point. We've got to talk to the folks that it affects most, but it affects all of Brighton and the entire region. So I think we're going to have a lot of people living here that are going to be looking for things to do and places to walk and places to, I think we've got to be looking ahead with that too. You can't just keep building houses and apartments. We need to have the services and the things that those people want to enjoy and make it a walkable community too, and not just full of parking lots. So there's a lot to think about here, and there's a lot of people that need to just say, hey, that was done in the past, but we need to tweak what we're doing in the future to make it work. So.
Yeah, I'll just leave off with this too. Sorry, Libby. I know in the floods of 2017 and the floods of 2019 really got Lower Trent thinking about, setback restrictions, and I know some things from the ministry were ironed out through those. So there's a lot of complications when it comes to that and building new projects along the water as well, just given those two flooding events in the not too distant past.
Something that came up at the last meeting, I just want to get another 2 cents worth in on it, because I asked if Ben was on that committee or somebody from economic development, and given the economic possibilities, the development, the tourism, and that sort of thing that can come out of waterfront development, would it not be appropriate to have Ben on that committee, or at least have a direct link to his department? Like, it just seems to me that it is very much economic development and tourism. So I was just wondering, Ron, you're on that committee. Are there any thoughts on that?
Well, can I just touch on that? We do have staff on that. We have Jim, the recreation director, who's handles the trails already, recreation already. At the waterfront, I'm sure he's had a lot of involvement in that original. I know he did. He had a lot of involvement in that original study. So you do have a lot of staff, and you have our planning department involved on that committee. The mayor's on that committee. I'm fortunate to be on that committee. Thank you. And Laura, deputy mayor, is the chair of that committee. So there's nothing that gets past us that doesn't get to Ben if it's something that and Ben will be brought in to, I'm sure will be brought in and he has been, and we need to discuss things that are of economic. It's pretty well majority of it's economic, but development on what we're talking about. Anything you do with the recreation is economic development, whether you put in a pool. I just you throw a pool in, you throw a basketball court in, you change this, you change that. It's all economic development, and it's all part of, it may have a title of recreation on it, but it's all economic development and culture. That's what we're doing here. Yeah. No, I don't know if Ben needs to be on it. I think that's been discussed anyhow, and there's enough staff on that and enough counselors for the time being. As we all talk about it, when it's important. It's a public meeting too, so anyone can send in for information or contact us, let us know their opinions. I like to hear, and you've got a suggestion box you're talking about. If more people would come with good, positive suggestions. We got a lot of professional, smart people that living in this community, and I don't mean professional in that perspective, but they're more of they know rather just to make one comment that they actually give some detail and suggestions to make things better. And I like to hear from those people. And you'd be surprised the things that can get done when you have all that coming out of the woodwork.
Ron,
Okay. Carry on,
I'm-
Karen.
I'm delighted to hear that there certainly sounds like progress being made relating to the waterfront and putting these 3 plans together. What I've been wondering since I've come on this committee is what does the council and this committee feel about the growth of Brighton? Where do we stand with that? Because I think the consultant or whoever you're going to hire needs to know what our goal is for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, relating to growth, relating to activity at the waterfront, relating to change. Because it seems to me when Megan and Ben were touching on it, that there is some resistance to change in the one area in Gosport. How do you tend to mitigate? How should we mitigate that? And is it important to have an idea of where we want to go as far as growth and how much change we are prepared to make? You know what I'm getting at?
It's a good question. If can I take the lead on that, or would somebody else like to? All right, I'll take the lead on it. First of all, for change, we need to, again, like Megan's saying, we need to involve the folks that are involved now. But just because they a few put up their hands saying, no, I don't want that, I don't want that. We need to look at what the entire municipality wants and what and needs and wants. Okay, so, but we need them to be involved in that change. We need them to, and it's got to be small steps perhaps, but if there's major investment sitting there on the horizon that wants to come into your area, well, you've got to look at it from a number of ways. How does this make my family economically better in the future? How does this make my life and enjoyment of that area? Like no one owns the bay. So we need to, and I'm not talking about just the bay, but the entire waterfront. We need to have it so it's enjoyed by all. And then you see pictures of people enjoying it, but it's only the few that live there. Unfortunately, it's not easily accessible to everybody. So it's a touchy subject, and I understand how people feel about their backyard, but we need to see what we can do to maybe have some access and more, perhaps some new services down there. Maybe even another restaurant that people can walk to. You know, if I live down there and I could just walk to one of those restaurants, it'd just be wonderful. Like here I live out in rural Brighton. It's a different story. It's a different livelihood, but you know, we that do this love it. So what I'm saying is this, we need to bring maybe committees as far as the growth goes. Yes, we are going to have a lot of growth. We talk about affordable housing and all that. We probably need more apartments. We definitely need more apartments. This growth is coming whether we like it or not. It's being driven, number one, by the need of housing for the entire country or the entire province. It's booming. And we need to do our part to fill in that space that we do have without expanding. We don't want to sprawl out any faster than we'll be pushed someday to sprawl out. And we're talking now expanding our boundary. So, you know, that's another issue. We're talking all kinds of other things like, and there's a lot of concerns about the waterfront, and wetlands and forests and all these things. So where do you build and what do you build? But building the single house bungalow, that day is going to have to slow down. I think we're going to need to, council is going to have to work with the developers to start building more, what do you call it? More density, more apartment type buildings, and more even condos. You know, they become more affordable because of the the reasons. But we need to, that way we can keep maybe a better eye and better control on the volume of people coming. But with the increased numbers of residents, whether they're in apartments or whether they're whatever, we need some jobs for the youth or the and these folks that are coming, there's a lot of families looking at our area right now. It's not just, to use the word, it's not just seniors. It's now we're seeing families. You talk to the real estate people, it's families that are looking at these, and these young professionals with children that want to move to our area, and they can work from home now. It's not the day of having to live in Scarborough is gone. You don't need to necessarily do that anymore. You can come here and then go, if you want to go to Toronto one day a week, fine if you have to, but this is what the type of residents we're going to be getting more so now as the seniors demographics again starts changing, and that is going to be a major change within not a long time actually. So we need to fill it. So we're going to need more single dwellings or in apartments and that type of thing. And then we should have the community where everybody can enjoy. And if it's waterfront, trails, parks, arena, maybe possibly a pool, possibly a new hockey rink, possibly this. These are all things that are all going through our heads right now. And we will eventually need to find the money to do all that. And Ben will tell you how that all works with the economic development. You need to tie it all in together. So
Ron, if I could just to follow up on Karen's question, and I know that there's divided opinion within the municipality. There is my own neighborhood. So is it council's direction or opinion that Brighton should experience this new type of growth and go for it? Or is there an opinion that, okay, we've, got a sort of a boutique town and we've, we're big enough? Like, what is the thinking on that from a council perspective, just in general terms, from a strategic level, I guess? We can see you now, Karen.
No,
we're not,
lucky you.
I don't think this council's going for it. We're not out marketing here. Come move to Brighton. Come on down. Let's just jam them in. No, we're not. We don't have a campaign like that one bit. The big move. You read the papers if there is a paper. You read the news. It's growth is happening. We cannot stop it. The government is pushing it as well. So it's every area. Some areas are running out of land. Some areas are running out of services. At least we're in good shape. We know where we stand for the next, what's on the books now and the planning over the next few years. A lot of these developments, 400 houses, these don't get built in a day. So, and our staff can't work that fast. They do a fantastic job, but these things don't get put together as fast as necessarily even governments want it. They want to fast stream everything now. Well, I don't believe in being pushed that way. I think we need to. This is our municipality. Our council is elected to make those decisions for you, and you're welcome to talk to us anytime. And if you don't like it, but we're the ones that are looking. When we look at these developments, we're looking at, hey, you a whole bunch of single dwellings again. Well, some great developers in town, this community now are understanding that they're putting in 12 unit, like a townhouse types, and more duplexes and more of that on smaller pieces of land, parcels of land. Yes, we're going to get the volume of housing that we need, because there has to be a certain amount of volume of housing, but we need to maintain the infrastructure. And that's the other thing that we could talk for all day on. And the mayor's been really good on information on that. But we're doing what we feel that you want and what the municipality wants, the people that live here. And it's a way of life too. You talk about new Pizza Huts and new this and new Pet Value. Those are the things that are going to start slipping in here really quick. And you're starting to see that as we plan properly. And that can also happen on Waterfront, where if you have a good plan and people are behind it and speak well of it, they will come. And then you talk about, somebody talked on doctors. That's the thing that really gets me these days. Where some people, you hear so much negativity about doctors, right? Well, then the doctors read all the negativity. They tell, geez, Why would I want to come there and nobody's happy? So these are things that we need to be talking more of a positive thing. Hey, if a doctor comes here, they're going to enjoy this. They can have their boat down at the marina. They can do this and that. You know, this is what gets their interest. So
Okay.
that's what gets my interest. So I'm sure it will get their interest.
Karen, does that answer your question, or did you have any follow-up to that?
No, I think that it sounds like everybody is on the same page on the committee and on in council. So I know growth is happening, and I think we've got to embrace it, and we've got to plan for it. And one of the things that really needs planning is that waterfront, because we've got a lot of municipally owned land there that seems to be just not being underutilized or being utilized by only the certain residents.
I also feel that something that really needs to be focused on is our downtown core, which is still very empty and, you know, very underdeveloped. I think that, you know, speaking on the things that need to get done, like, you know, to intrigue people to live here, the downtown core in rural towns is the heart, the epicenter. And so, you know, if our downtown core isn't strong, it won't matter how strong our waterfront is, right? Like, I think that that's something that needs to be top of the docket as well. And that's not just because obviously I benefit from it, but like, you know, when you live in it, you see what it's like. And it's like, well, you know, even with this latest lockdown, the downtown has been empty, effectively empty. There haven't been people walking or driving, and there's nothing there for them, right? Because, I mean, I'm not saying for another lockdown. I'm just saying it could be better, and it could be something that we focus on and target and actually like develop a pretty simple but solid plan if we speak to the right groups.
Okay.
Megan, can I get?
Go ahead, Ron.
This is like any area of the municipality. You talk about downtown. So who owns all the buildings downtown?
Corporations, but it's
Is
corporations.
it up to us? Is it up to us to, you know, we can do all these little campaigns and these, you know, have a dance downtown and all these things to draw people downtown. Who is, when it comes to the appearance of the buildings, we have a beautiful downtown, but when it comes to appearance of the buildings, who are the tenants going to be? What do the owners want for their buildings? You see this in other communities where they sit empty because the owners aren't even from, I'm not talking about our town, I'm talking about other areas. Half the downtowns aren't even owned by the
Our
local.
downtown is like that though. That was the biggest disappointment. I'm sorry to get upset, but that was the biggest disappointment
I
when
get
I went.
upset too. I'm glad you're
Yeah,
getting
when I
upset.
went to Napanee and I found out that most of Napanee was owned by local Napanee people. And I look at our downtown that's falling into disrepair, and it's sad and it's depressing as a person who wants to invest in the future of the town. You know, it kind of feels a little bit hopeless. And so, and I'm sorry, when did we do a dance downtown? Like, I don't remember that.
No, we used to have Bentwood Rocker. They
Right.
used to
Okay.
take over downtown.
So, but it's just like, I do understand the thing of like, oh, well, we've tried that, but you know, it didn't work. And it's like, well, then try again and tweak it and do it different. Just try until you can't try anymore. Like, you know, as far as the appearance of downtown buildings go, speaking as a business owner and the owner of my building, you know, maybe there's funding to like beautify, like we can give grant money to like invest in spaces or invest in the way that some of the buildings look. And, you know, or maybe there's a little bit of money to like do some rent relief programs to like put a person in a building, right? So then that way we're not even working with the owner. We're just providing relief for something to go in there. You know,
Do we have a Main Street program or
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that? Previous council worked on what we call a downtown revitalization.
Yeah, you do.
That slid off the books as well. And that we should say that our planning department, Paul Walsh, I don't know, Ben, if you're involved with that as well, but we are working very hard. I mean, it's been here before as far as community improvement, which hopefully one of the arms of that will be maybe another downtown revitalization program. But those things take time, right? They take They take a lot of time to put those things together. And then, of course, they take some time to kind of figure out where those monies kind of can come from. Are there partners other than just at the local level? So it's, you know, these things haven't fallen on deaf ears over the years, but some of these things, as Ron pointed out as well with the, you know, with the trails and the waterfront master plan, they've been pushed back on the shelf. And in fact, as I say, the downtown revitalization basically slid off the shelf and monies went back to the government, something that something that had been started here about 8 or 9 years ago. But there again, it's your council when they get together, when they come unified to the table as far as wanting to promote some of these programs. And we have some staff in place now that can kind of guide us through these programs. So, you know, it takes time. And, you know, some of your comments, Ron, to, you know, messaging, communication, public involvement, public engagement, and people stepping up to help with this. You know, there again, we have so many staff members. We only have a council of 7. It takes a community to get some of these initiatives off the ground, and they can't all be done based on your tax dollars or based on those few people that we have trying to push these ideas. So I think, you know, community, communication, engagement, that's where we need to go. And I think this council, along with some of the staff that we have now, are really working hard to get that out.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I only just wanted to say that if we're going to talk about the waterfront, then we should talk about the entirety of Brighton and not like the waterfront is the only thing that needs to get done.
Exactly, Megan, exactly. And
Megan, the only thing is that was the topic of the moment.
Well, we kind of,
No,
it wasn't on the
it
agenda
was.
and we sort of just brought it
So
up
what-
off the cuff. So I'm bringing up the downtown off the cuff.
So what
I
we
like
should
the-
do now is move on from Ben's report, and unless there are any questions on Ben's report or Ben has anything else to say. No, then let's move on to the DBIA report. I give you the
Yes,
floor, Megan.
so we haven't had a DBIA meeting yet this year.
Okay,
I did reach out to just see what questions people had that they wanted maybe me to bring up today. I haven't heard back from anybody, but maybe I'll just like before our next meeting, I can compile a few questions and like send them out to the board here so that we can maybe put it on the agenda or talk about what we can put on the agenda. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. There's no update.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine, Megan. Thank you. And Laura, Chamber of Commerce update.
Hi. So Chamber has been pretty busy, which is really great. So I missed last meeting because apparently I wasn't ready for 2022. I'm here now. So since last meeting, which was, when did we last meet? November, December? The OCC grant that has been working with the chambers is going really, really well. The Shop Local campaigns are getting really good response. Did a couple little contests over Christmas, and the businesses that participated said they really appreciated it and they had fun with it. So I'm glad to hear that. And a big one is the January Wellness Series that I started for the whole month of January. It blew up. Our Facebook viewership quadrupled. Our Instagram viewership almost doubled. So it's very obvious that businesses and residents like it when I do personalized interview type things with business owners. So I'm going to continue to do that. And then that is what inspired myself and Caroline to do the Make It March. I hear a lot that business owners who are not retail in a chamber feel like they get forgotten. So I want to make sure that as a chamber, I recognize all areas of businesses. So services, manufacturing, restaurant, retail, etc. So with the new developments in the industrial park, I'm very excited to start on a Make It March campaign with Caroline. What else? So our AGM will be squeaked in February, I hope. I'm working on that one. And then a really big one is we moved offices. So now we are in the old Lola's building. Surprise!
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh,
Surprise! So
And
it had to be on the DL for a little while because the people that own the building weren't sure who was going to go in it. But we are in it. So I am in walking distance from everyone and everything. I am now right in the DBIA core. And I'm really, really excited to turn the building, well, so the owners of the building want to turn it into like a business and tourism hub, mainly focus on my office. So I want to create kind of like a resource, what the Presqu'île booth is down at Presqu'île. I want to create that resource uptown. So I'm literally everything is still in boxes. So I just moved in on Friday. So I'm still working on it, but I have high hopes for it. And I'm really looking forward to working with Ben and Caroline on making this little space absolutely the best it can possibly be.
Can I just ask where the old Lola's building is? I'm sorry, I don't know where that is.
You know where Lola's is currently?
Yes.
Right beside it. It's tucked in behind. So Lola's
up
was
higher.
in that building, what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
So we're in there.
Okay, all right, I'll have a look. Do you have
So
like
signage will
signage?
be going up.
That's a
Yeah,
great
signage will
spot.
be going up in the next week, I think, hopefully.
Okay, excellent.
And delete that quick win from the list.
Yeah.
And then also that can kind of, I have high hopes for, I've applied for the summer student like we always do, and I have high hopes for creating an immersive tourism experience. I don't just want to stick some college kid in the booth. I want to create activities, campaigns, family things. I want a really good social media presence. I want bird walking tours. I don't know. So I think that this new office is just the start of it. And I think that Caroline, Ben, and I are about to become best friends.
Awesome. Okay, is there anything else, Laura?
That's it for right now.
Okay, any questions for Laura? And welcome to downtown Brighton. Any questions, any comments on Laura's report or DBIA or municipal? Without getting into anything big again, is there any questions or comments? All right, can I have somebody move to accept these 3 reports, please, and second? Could I have a mover first?
I'll move.
Emily, thank you, and Karen second. Could we do that? Thank you. And now in correspondence, we finally have some. So this is the Southeastern Ontario Production Accelerator Fund. Is that called CPAC? What SOPAC? What's it called? What's the acronym, Ben?
COPA?
COPAC? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to take that and explain what's happening there? It is a film.
Yep. So essentially, our partners over at Pecuniary Regional Marketing Board engaged with whatever this acronym is about getting some funding towards promoting our region when it comes to film production opportunities. So basically, what they've done so far through the fund, we had to throw in a letter of support. It was basically our only obligation. I show up to a meeting every couple of months to get a report and review as to any interest. But basically, we're just trying to be a little bit more robust in promoting our town and our community for opportunities in film production.
So was there any budget implications for the
Not for us,
municipality?
no.
No? Okay. I couldn't quite, when I read it, I couldn't quite, figure out what they wanted besides a letter, but I guess that's all they needed was a letter, and
Yep.
that's been done.
That's correct.
Awesome. Any questions on that? They're going to be in the movies?
Never know.
Never know.
Presqu'île and Proctor Park are very the experts in the field seem to think those were very good opportunities.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. So we'll move on to new business. I asked Marty if he could just tell us a little bit about what's happening in agriculture in this area and how last year went. What's the outlook for this year coming? And he agreed to do so. So thanks, Marty. And I'll give the floor to you. Okay, you're going to have to unmute. I can't hear you. Unmute your microphone. Okay, there you go.
Hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I guess 2021, as far as crops go, I guess it was a dry spring, so the planting was done early. first crop hay, and I guess the wheat crop was below average because it was very dry. Towards July, the rains really benefit the hay crop, and then we had above average corn and soybean yields with good prices. So overall, it was a good year. And then, of course, the rain made the second crop of hay good, so we had enough to do it. So the year was a good year crop wise. As far as COVID goes, 2021, we sort of did. We were able to get all our fertilizer, seeds. We did business instead of going to into the office to order your fertilizer and that. We did everything on phones, and you send your arrival time, and then you went to the elevator and you mixed your blends. So everything, far as that goes, everything went very well all year. Towards October to the fall, we had issues with getting parts, I guess. Before, normally, if you have a breakdown in your combine or tractor, you phone, say, John Deere, and the parts are there, or they would ship it in by the next day. But towards the fall, it was the delays of 10 to 14 days, which really slowed down harvest. If you get a breakdown, 2 weeks of harvest, that's a lot of cropping that didn't get done. So that was the first issue we had. And then 2022, we started, normally we start buying our fertilizer, seeds, and inputs for the following year. And fertilizer, they're talking about a shortage of this because of, I don't know, shipping or whatever. Anyways, like fertilizer I bought in September for $500 a ton, now is over 1,000, so it doubled in price. And seed went up about 6%. So I bought all my, and they said it might be a shortage of it, so I purchased all my seed and fertilizer for next year. If you pay in advance for the fertilizer, then the elevator has money to buy it and store it, so it's there. So it's definitely going to be, and sprays are supposed to go up a lot next year, but you can't purchase that ahead. I guess just this last week or two, there's been a shortage of propane. I know my son, he didn't go to work yesterday because he couldn't deliver propane because there was none around. So they're waiting for the trucks to come in. So I don't know if that was the trucker strike, protests, or anything, but propane's very. We don't got natural gas in the rural areas, so a lot of people need it for heating their houses, plus for drying corn and that. Agriculture operations that are closed or open, I guess our local elevator, Northumberland Grain, where they take in our grain crop, and we buy fertilizers and seeds, and they do custom spraying and that. They merged with TCO in Trenton, so they're one company, and with a company out in Belleville and Coburg, so they're all one big unit now. So I guess for more buying power and that, so I guess companies are changing. As far as new operations, there's no new operations starting. Just existing ones, or family farms are expanding because it's just too expensive to update. I know when I moved in this area, like in like the early 90s, there were like 7 dairy farms within 2 kilometers of me. Now there's 4 in all of Brighton. There's I guess one operation in Brighton, they actually got they're the first ones to have robot milkers in Brighton County, so that's the first. So that's kind of nice. What else? Far as farms sold, there's a couple of farms that were in the area, but that was like class 3 or 4 farmland. It wasn't the best farmland, so it was bought up by people from a GTA area. But the only problem with that is like the farmers in the area want good farmland, but they're paying the same price for bad farmland, which makes the good farmland more expensive. So what else? Let me see. Problems affecting the industry. I guess the biggest thing is but we could use better high-speed internet, because there's a lot of new technology out there where you can combine, and combines have yield monitors, and if you can get a good computer system, you can graph this. So if if the internet's good enough and you get the system, then when you plant, you can vary the rate of fertilizer. So you put more fertilizer where the plant's too good, and where the soil isn't as good, you plant population less. So there's, if this better internet comes out, there's a lot more technology that we can use on the farm. So, and then it's very important on dairy farms and robot milkers to have a good computer net internet, high-speed internet. So that's one big ask. As far as property tax, our farms, we take the house in 1 acre, and that's taxed at the same rate as houses in town, you know, like everybody else. But the remaining farmland from 2016 to 2020, our taxes went up 25% a year. So we're paying double our taxes on our farmland, which makes things a lot more expensive to operate. Another issue we have is, like Ontario loses 75 acres of good farmland a day. That's, you know, for development or housing, which is a lot of good farmland. So like in our area, I guess we were fighting. They wanted to take some farmland, which is grade 1 farmland, and extend it to the hamlet of Brighton, the hamlet of Codrington, so they can build more houses there. But we were opposed that, and I don't know. We had public meetings, and I didn't hear what happened to that. One thing that we figure might help with this is I don't know if you heard of the Natural Heritage System Plan. It was approved by County Council on December 15th, and it like as Ron was talking, Dwayne Campbell was working on it, and they had consultation meetings for the last couple of years, and it'll set out areas where you protect wetlands, farmlands, and it also include industrial areas in the different municipalities, and more dense housing, like Ron was mentioned. So this was approved in December, and in all the local municipalities. I don't know if you've done it yet, but they're supposed to approve it. So did you get approved this yet, Ron, or heard about it?
I don't think it's come to us just yet. It's on the edge.
Oh, okay.
Is
So
that right? I know all about it, or not all about it. I know I was involved right when they did their early stages, the studies a couple of years ago, but I don't think we've nailed it down.
No, I've not really had anything come across my desk either.
Yeah, so
Is that something?
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah.
But is that something, Marty, that you think, you know, those who have created this plan, that maybe we have them come to a meeting as well, so that maybe we have a better understanding of that? As a group?
Yeah, I guess Dwayne Campbell, I'm sure he would come out, because he's come out to farm meetings and all that. And I think this program is really going to help protect farmland. And then, yeah, I think he'd be good to come out to a meeting. So I could ask him for our next meeting if you want.
Right, or you maybe connect with Ben, because I think a lot of those invitations have to go through Ben, I think, Marty, but
Yeah.
I would certainly, you know, sometimes to get the information from the horse's mouth other than just on a piece of paper, we can ask the questions and understand it better.
Yeah. And,
Marty, it's good. Marty, it's good to hear a positive comment about that.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Even some farmers thought it was. I've been going to meetings. I was wondering how it affect farming, but I think it's going to help protect farms. Few people, hobby farmers, are against it because they have some land and they want to build a house on it, and they don't like the idea because they might not be able to do that because they want to protect the farmland. But otherwise, it's going to be good for farming and wetlands and all that. So.
Well, it's all positive stuff.
I think it's positive stuff. It's going to be a good thing. And basically, there's no new farmers because it's just so expensive to get into it. So the only way you can do it is basically family farms where the next generation works in it and takes it over. So anyways, any questions or?
Yeah, Marty, you said that there were a couple of farms that were sold off by people in the GTA area. Was that for farming as well?
Yeah, it was previously farmed, so right now.
It has to stay as farmland, right? It
Yeah,
can't just stay
the local farmers renting it who rented it before, right? So.
for agricultural purposes, but not.
Yeah, it's still
yeah.
agriculture, yes. It's
Okay,
being rented out,
alright.
so it's not like they're not gonna build over it or anything, so they're just renovating the houses and.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about it because you don't understand, at least I didn't, all of the things that you have gone through with supply issues and how important it is to have internet, how much better high-speed internet, how that could help your computerized systems is really interesting. And, I learned a lot just by listening to you this morning. And, I appreciate all of the challenges that you've gone through this year. And do you anticipate that things will improve in 2022? Or despite the weather, we don't know about that yet, but the supply chain issues and so on?
Yeah, we're hoping, like the supply chain gets, better. I mean, like for far as equipment, it's just like, if you want to buy a car now, it's hard to find a car. You have to order it. And I think the same thing is for equipment. But hopefully everybody's positive by summer, everything's going to improve. And they're hoping that like fertilizer prices, they figure once this COVID thing slows down, everything should get back to normal again.
So is the government, in particular, the federal government, I guess, doing anything to help the agricultural industry in terms of some of the issues that you've raised this morning?
Well, David Pecuniary and Phil Lawrence, we have meetings with them, and they're pushing for internet, and it's going to be like a long-term process, right? They put more funding in it, but it just doesn't happen overnight.
But are they able to help with some of the pricing and the supply chain issues and that sort of thing?
No, I don't. The government, and we meet with them, and basically, if we can do stuff that'll cut red tape or extra costs or paperwork we don't have to do, they've been very good for that. But as far as getting extra dollars, they don't want to spend extra money because they don't have it, right? So it's they're open to talk to us, but if it's something that makes things easier, but not if it costs money, they just don't do it.
Yeah. So it's a challenging industry you have. Yes, Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Libby. Marty, regarding internet and everything, we have a committee, right? A municipal committee we have 2 or 3 people on. I can't remember exactly which councillors. I think Councillor Bateman maybe and Councillor LeBlanc. Have some of your concerns been communicated to them as far as the internet? We hear about at-home businesses who require better internet, or those folks who live rurally and yet have businesses out of town and they get to work from home, and concerns with the last year or two with kids having to learn from home as far as online learning. But I haven't heard anything regarding the farming community as much on the committee. I don't sit on that committee, so some of these things might get. Do you sit on that committee, Marty?
No, I don't know. I don't know if any farmers are on the committee. I've met with the Mayor Brian Ostrander in summer, and we told him his concerns, and he's aware of it. But I don't know if there's any farm representation on that committee.
Yeah, I don't know either, but maybe it's something we ask Ron.
Well, Emily, Northumberland County, the provincial government and the federal government, a lot of money is coming from the federal government to the provincial government. And the provincial government has a whole plan, and EORN also has a plan to put up towers, hundreds of towers in eastern Ontario. And that's for that aspect of the internet, okay? There's also other aspects of the internet going with fiber in areas that fiber can get into and all. A lot of things are progressing in some areas, but the areas that just are really going to be the slowest to take care of is the farm areas, the rural areas, the areas that are in areas where there's hills and
that's the biggest thing here.
That's where the real problem's going to be. So right now, there is a push on, and I've seen this in the news about purchasing land in key sites. If you have a piece of land that you would be willing to have a tower on, and it meets the criteria for where they're going to want to put a tower, you can lease that space out, or I think it's all leasing. I don't think there's any selling.
No, they lease it, yeah.
Yeah, and so you, as a farmer, if you've got a corner of your property that's going to meet those, they're anxious to talk to you. And that's if you want a tower in the middle of your field or in the middle of your village or your hamlet. So that'll be the next thing. But they're working on that right now, and right across Eastern Ontario, they have the provincial government has goals. I think it's 2025. It's not as far off for a certain aspect of it, and then there's longer range goals. But there's a lot of federal money, and now there's also becoming other partners involved. Rogers is hit the area now. I think it's Rogers. Yes, has now come into the area, and some of these other large internet companies are now pushing into the areas. So that's what we need for the competition aspect of it. And then I don't know about the quality aspect, but definitely you need competition if you're going to get the prices to their little bit. It's not just getting internet, it's getting affordable internet. And it's like housing, right? So that's the little information that's going on right now. But I wish I had a lot more for you, but there's lots of information. Things are happening, but very, very slowly.
Like my internet, it's actually rural links put a little satellite because of the hills I live on. We couldn't get internet, so they put a satellite on my silo that bounces off a silo in Morganton, and there's about 30 people it serves, and it's internet. It works, but once, especially during lockdowns, it dies out because too many people are on it. But I mean, just to put a big tower, these small companies cannot afford it. They just, like something like this, and basically I get the internet, and I get free internet out of the deal, and it's on my silo. And like if you get the big ones, they actually pay $1,000 to $1,500 a month, but the small companies cannot afford to put that up unless they have so many subscribers, right? So
well, there was I will call it an ad for sake of argument, some media out there asking for people to come forward in certain areas, and that was a while back, but I'm not up to date on where they are exactly.
Yeah.
So Emily, did I understand that you would recommend that an agricultural representative sit on this municipal committee to deal with internet issues, or is that something that you'd like to come from this committee, or what?
I would think that would have
I'm
to
not
come
sure.
from that committee.
Yeah.
It can't come from our committee, correct? But I don't like I said, I don't know who's all on that committee. Ben, are you on that committee for the internet? Or
I have been at quite a few of those meetings. Northumberland County did a very robust connectivity study in 2021 and throughout 2021 and 20. And they did end up submitting an ICON application. ICON was the major funding mechanism for counties and municipalities to apply to get broadband funding. And from what we have heard, they have been successful, and there is an imminent announcement in March of multi-million dollars in funding, and it's going to serve Brighton
very soon.
Rural Brighton.
North is just 100 way away.
Rural Brighton quite well. So I have to leave it at that for now.
Oh, that's good. Good news.
Marty, are there any questions for Marty? This has been a really informative session with you to sort of committee. Are there any other questions for Marty?
No.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I would ask you if there are any changes in your industry or anything that you'd like to bring to our attention, or anything even that we can do, please let us know at any time. And then we'll leave it with you to work with Ben to possibly have at a future meeting, if that's okay. And thank you again very much for that. I guess we would need a motion to accept the report from Marty regarding agricultural issues. Could I have a mover on that? Ron, Ron?
Yeah.
Laura, you're going to second that?
Yeah. Well, thanks
Yes,
for
Laura's
letting me,
going to second.
thanks for letting me do this. It's good to spread agriculture news because more people know, the more it helps us. So thanks a lot.
Maybe
for
we
this
can, maybe
opportunity.
this committee can have a field trip, a day trip to your operation when weather gets better, Marty. It would be interesting.
Just gonna
Yeah,
say
well,
a personal.
I'm small scale. I'm sort of on the retirement edge, so I'm not very modern. I'm 20 years behind, I guess.
I was
It
just
would-
The
gonna.
it
age
would-
where you don't invest into a lot of
Yeah.
things. So
It would still be really interesting. It's just, it's a real eye opener for me. I'm not, I'm just not familiar with your industry, and it is just to hear you talk about all the challenges you have today. It's a tough business, but we appreciate you and people in agriculture for sure. Ben, did you have something to say?
Just a personal anecdote. My uncle is a sales rep for what used to be Moore Brothers, who builds major agricultural buildings and serves farmers with all sorts of different products for dairy. And they were just actually bought out by a company called Norwell, which is from the Guelph area, north of Guelph area, and it's a Mennonite family, and they're just doing incredible things with that company. Which, he has several clients in the Codrington, Brighton, Warkworth, Hastings area. So really good investment, not locally in terms of Brighton, but into this local region by that Norwell company. So it's really good news.
yeah, they're our major dairy supplier. Like
That's
they are the big one. Yeah, they do a good job.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that commercial, Ben.
All right, we'll move on. Item 9 is our next meeting date. Ben, what would you prefer?
It's up to the committee. We've
No,
kind
it's
of
up
met.
to you.
We've kind of met twice in 3.5 weeks. So I don't know if a March meeting's completely necessary, or if we'll have a little more robust meeting if we hold off till April with a few more updates. I will mention, it's been brought to my attention that because of the election, we will be suspending meetings in September, October, just because of the demands of staff time in those months. So I think we've met, quite a bit here in the last 2 months. So maybe holding off till April isn't such a bad thing, and we can go kind of.
So April 7th. Now, how does that interfere with Good Friday and stuff? Anybody got that on their calendar?
Easter's not till later in the month this year, I believe, like the 15th. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So April 7th then?
Are we at a point where we can do in-person meetings, or will we ever get to that point?
We're not there yet.
I would say by that meeting, there could be a possibility for sure.
Just let us know that, Ben. Okay, so April 7th. In the meantime, you and I can talk about BRNE stuff in February and March and get that. Maybe we'll have some, great news on progress at that point. So,
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Any other business, anything anybody wants to add, get off your chest, bring up for next meeting, anything? Ron?
Ben, at the recreation center there, what do you call them? Your project there, when
Oh, the
you've got
pop-ups.
Pop-up, yeah.
when now, does that go to tender now? What's it RFP now?
Yeah, so we're just finalizing the design with our local engineer. He actually had a death in the family this week, so things aren't happening as quick as we originally thought, but we got to be respectful of obviously his time. So we're hoping to get some final drawings maybe late next week, and it'll go to RFP from there.
So you hoping to get a spring start on this?
The original plan was a late June grand opening. I'd like to think we're still on track for that, but the way the construction industry has gone in the last couple of years, who knows how this will all end up rolling out. So
Okay.
I really can't give you a firm answer today,
Okay.
Ron.
No, that's good.
Looks like Karen has a new friend there.
It's my grand dog. I'm
Oh.
babysitting her. She's a lap dog, totally, literally. Won't leave me alone.
Okay, everybody, thank you. Meeting went on a bit long, but I think the information that we got from everybody was really important this morning, and we'll see everybody maybe in person on April the 7th. I do need a motion to adjourn. Emily, second. Ron, thank you very much. See you guys in April.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Libby.
Thank you.